Supreme Court for a second. Justice Thomas said so brilliantly and eloquently, the language of the statute is clear. Under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the president has the authority to regulate foreign trade. And going back to the founding of our country, the term regulate has always meant and included the power to levy duties. But here's the good news, Laura. As cowardly, as horrendous as the Supreme Court ruling was, as poorly as it reflects on John Roberts' court and the continued torturing of our statutes and our Constitution, here's the good news. The court also affirmed the president has the authority under Section 301, Section 232, Section 122, Section 338, and many other provisions of federal law that the president can levy tariffs on foreign nations. So his program will not only be fully reconstituted, but it will be expanded. And one more point, Laura. The Supreme Court also affirmed that under IEEPA, the president has authority to restrict, impede, deny, license, or even fully embargo any foreign trade. So the net result of all this is we're going to keep and grow the tariffs to bring back American manufacturing, which keeps prices low by incentivizing products to be made here in America. But it also means that President Trump has even more tools when it comes to dealing with foreign countries that undermine our security.
Man, do I have a show ready for you if everything goes okay. The internet guys came, they tweaked a bunch of things, they changed out some wires, so fingers crossed and God willing, we should be okay tonight. Am I getting text already from XV? That we haven't even started the show yet, and I'm getting messages and stuff. All right, now that was from somebody else. All right, so understand, there's a lot of talk going on. And I think what tonight, it's nighttime, it's Friday night. So I think what we're going to do is spend some time examining the truth. You see, I had posted something earlier, and earlier I had said everything that these people are talking about in the media, the Panicans, the Black Pillars, if it occurred after 1:15 p.m. today, just go ahead and ignore it. Because things have changed so much since the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock Supreme Court notice. And then, of course, President Trump went out and did his press conference at about 1:15. And then just moments ago, or a little while ago, he dropped an absolute nuke. So let's look at this, the preview to the nuke. President Trump posted this. It is my great honor to have just signed from the Oval Office a global 10% tariff on all countries. Notice the word there, all. All. Not just the ones who previously had tariffs, not just the ones who were doing some bad things like, different countries. Everybody, the whole world, everybody is now tariffed. Doesn't matter who you are. It's like Oprah. You get a tariff and you get a tariff. Everybody got a tariff. Hey, I got to show you this video because I almost envisioned President Trump in the Oval Office today talking about tariffs. And somebody said, who are we going to tariff? Who are we going to tariff, President Trump?
I told you. Benny, bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
I love that. Everyone. You all got some. Every single country around the globe is now going to face at least a 10% tariff. The man ain't playing. The left, the Panicans, the Blue Pillars, shh. The big boys are playing now. The adults have entered the room. You can exit. We no longer need to hear from you. We don't need to talk about anything you have to say right now. Your celebrations have been short-lived. You've been smacked. You played with the bull and you got a whole lot of horns. President Trump followed up that tweet with this one. And it says, those members of the Supreme Court who voted against our very acceptable and proper method of tariffs should be ashamed of themselves. Their decision was ridiculous. But now the adjustment process begins. and we will do everything possible to take in even more money than we were taking in before. You know what I call that?
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
You know, a lot of us this morning were probably just dismayed because we thought it was over. It had ended. And I told you guys, I've said many times, wait 24, 48 hours. Let the smoke clear. Don't be the first person to go, oh my God, what's going to happen? No, just the opposite. Just the opposite. President Trump also posted this as well. And let me pull this up. President Trump will always put America first. And that right there says it all. American prosperity first. If you understand that's the goal, if you put it in perspective that what President Trump wants for the country is prosperity, then the alternative is what? If President Trump is fighting for prosperity and they're fighting against him, then ergo, they are fighting against prosperity. How evil is that? How anti-American? Forget Trump. The man has put out his banner. The man has said, I want American prosperity first. I want you all to enjoy this thing called the American dream. I want you to have your piece of the American dream. So if there's one person out there who's basically trumping up, pun intended, the American dream, and the other people are against the American dream, then you have to realize anybody not striving for American prosperity first is your enemy. And that's where we're going to go tonight. We're going to go into this in depth because I think a lot of people aren't realizing, as much as we talk about it, the fight that we are in. This is now easy to see. There can be no better contrast than a man who is fighting for prosperity for Americans and people who aren't. In fact, they're trying not to have you prosperous. You know, it's funny, I think I posted on Twitter earlier, X, that the Democrats do nothing but want to tax you. Every other word out of their mouth is to tax you. Mondami's up in New York City trying to tax people into oblivion so that their properties get abandoned. And yet they're fighting so that other countries can't be taxed. Let that sink in. They want to tax you. Oh, millionaires and billionaires, fair share, all that stuff. But they don't want us taxing them, foreign countries. That they're supposedly America first. They're elected officials here. They weren't elected to be, a senator or congressman of another country. They were elected to be, here. So right now, as of today, on February 20th, you now have the ultimate contrast. It played out all over the place today. You got one side that wants to keep you safe and prosperous, and the other side that doesn't give a shit about your safety or your prosperity. Yet somehow I'm supposed to believe that the GOP, MAGA, is going to lose the midterms. Not if that keeps getting reminded. Not if everybody reminds every single person out there this fight that we're in and everything that they're trying to do is to hurt American prosperity and with the immigration stuff, hurt American safety. The two most important things. Oh, also, they're going to come for your religion and your boys. I mean, this isn't a fight of normal politics. This is a fight between good and evil, and it is clear as day at this point for people who actually want to look. So I'm going to get into the show, and we're gonna talk about some things. I got an intro video that I want to bring to you, but before we do that, let me tell you about today's sponsor of the show. Well, this segment of the show. I don't know if you guys have been following. Let me check it, see what it's at right now. Silver and gold both spiked today. They both went up because that's to be expected with the volatility. And if you bought some gold and silver, don't freak out. Don't worry about what's going on so much, as trying to get as much information as possible. They are trying everything they can to suppress the market. The days of excessive money printing, overvalued markets, and global unrest are finally catching up to the elite, and they don't like it at all. So instead of pulling back, now is the time to do your research, keep your eyes open to trends, and get some information from my friends at Lear Capital. Experts are still predicting $6,000 gold and $150 to $200 silver. Everything you're seeing is being driven by geopolitical uncertainty, inflation concerns, and a perceived weakening U.S. dollars. Is it time for you to buy silver or gold? I can't answer that. You have to make your own decision. But what I can do is, if you call my friends at Lear Capital, they will help you by getting you the most accurate and up-to-date information you'll need to make an informed decision. Call the best in the business and the people that Robin and I personally buy from and trust. Call Lear Capital. It's a free call. There's no obligation to purchase. Just get some information and education on protecting and growing your wealth with gold and silver. I'm sure there are many of you who have called but yet haven't purchased for whatever reason. They'll even walk you through, if you want to, shifting some of your money sitting in a retirement account over to physical gold and silver. It's easy to do. I've been extremely satisfied with Lear's knowledge, service, and prices. In fact, I've got Kevin Demerit on next week when we get back from Washington, D.C. I urge you to call today and learn more. 800-601-5430, 800-601-5430, or go, as it says on the screen, to learberry.com to learn more. All right, let's get the show actually started.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Boy, they don't realize that they have unleashed the monster. President Trump, SV was texting me, he's like, the schedule for tomorrow has already come out. And he's got a full day of meetings in the White House on a Saturday. He starts off at 8 a.m. He's going to have the president participates in executive time. Don't know what that is. 12 p.m. President participates in a policy meeting. 12:30, another policy meeting. 1 o'clock, the president participates in a third policy meeting. And then at 6:45, he has a dinner with the governors. So that might be something we could televise, 6:45. But all day tomorrow. And still he's working tonight. As I was talking to the show intro, he posted something else. SB gave me the heads up on it. What happened today with the two United States Supreme Court justices that I appointed against great opposition, Neil Gorsuch and Amy Coney Barrett, whether people like it or not, never seems to happen with Democrats. They vote against the Republicans and never against themselves, almost every single time. No matter how good a case we have, at least I didn't appoint Roberts, who led the effort to allow foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years to continue to do so. He also was responsible for Obamacare, which, they said wasn't a tax, but now, we know what it is. But we won't let it happen again. The new tariffs, totally tested and accepted as law, are on their way. President Donald J. Trump. They unleashed him. They pissed him off. He understands what's at stake here, and now they've made him even more powerful than before. That was the theme of my thumbnail there, is like they don't understand, or maybe they did, in regards to what they did to him, in essence, us, and how he's now going to take it out on every single one of them. So now we have a 10% global tariff against the entire world. I wanted to show you this by, who is Ryan? Let's see. Ryan Peterson is a CEO of a global logistics company. I like what he says here. The new global tariff that Trump imposed is done under the authority of Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. This gives the president the authority to impose global tariffs up to 15%. So he's not done. He's only did it for 10. It can go up to 15% for a maximum of 150 days. Those of you who may be troubled with math, that's about 5 months. So 5 months, he can keep this tariff going. And at the end of 5 months, in order to keep it going, you would need congressional approval. But not so fast. See, he and I and other people believe this is what will happen. Trump will at some point find a reason to boost the tariffs from 10 to 15. So if you countries out there think, we're okay with 10, he's going to go to 15. And then more importantly, on July 20th, 2026, which is exactly 150 days from today, the Section 122 tariffs will be paused for 15, 20 minutes, and then immediately reinstated for another 150 days. And I thought to myself, can he do that? And again, once you look at the rule, it doesn't say he can't do it all over again. You guys want to play games? Okay, we'll play games. We're going to run this for 5 months. We're going to pause it. Maybe wait 1 or 2 days. Maybe wait 3 days. And bam, hit you with it back again for another 5 months. See you next year. 10 months. Keep it going. And that's just one. Okay, just want you to know, that's just one of the rules. That's just for Section 122. I'm pretty sure, I think I can show you, it might convince you that I think this was, like we've known, the plan B was always there. This is the plan B. And I also told you this afternoon, not knowing what he was going to say, but knowing his negotiation style, I played nice with you first. I gave you the opportunity for us both to come across, and shake hands. Not the deal I want, not the deal you want, which is always indicative of a good deal. Neither one of us wants this, but we'll do it. Now, I don't give a shit what you think. Now you get the horns. Now I don't care. Now the gloves are off. Whatever analogy you want to use. At this point, he knows he's got enemies in the Supreme Court. He's already known he's got enemies in the Democrat Party. And of course, he knows he's got enemies in the Republican Party. So the only thing he can do is go at it alone right now. But I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done because I know he wants that SAVE Act as well. And, right now, Mitch McConnell, or somebody pretending to be Mitch McConnell, is holding that up. This is going to get really, really tough. And, I don't know if people on the right are ready. I mean, truly ready for what's coming. And so I got to show you this video because as soon as I saw it, I thought, and I still think he may have said fanfare at the outset, but my buddy Alpha Warrior put out a video that's pretty much sounding the bell. Sounding the bell for warriors and warrior S's to get your asses ready. Get your asses ready for what's about to come, because if you're not ready, you're going to be in trouble. You'll be left by the wayside. Let's listen to what he has to say. It's kind of a long video, so I'll stop a couple times, but this is fire.
Good afternoon, Fanfare 20th to 2026. Time is flying. I always say I'm going to try to make these videos quick. It never happens. It is what it is. I'll try again. This is going to be some truth that's just going to hurt some people, but it is what it is. Like some of you need to be slapped in the face with truth. You have the Supreme Court today that ruled against President Trump with the use of the tariffs under a very specific section. And I'll do another video explain what the countermeasures of that going to be. But the point right now is look at the people celebrating. Look at the people bragging. You expect it from the Democrats. You expect it from the liberals. You expect it from the people that on the surface level acknowledge that they hate President Trump, acknowledge that they hate MAGA. But look at the people that cosplay as America First and MAGA and Republicans like Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. These people are only principled when it's something that President Trump's trying to do to save this nation. Canada weaponizes tariffs against the United States. The European Union weaponizes tariffs against the United States. China weaponizes tariffs against the United States. Tariffs have been used against the United States for decades. No one had issues with that. But the second President Trump says, hey, you know what, America First? We're going to use these tariffs because of everything else they're trying to sabotage in this country for us to get ahead. We're going to use tariffs to bring some balance to trade, to actually make it fair, because it hasn't been fair, no matter what Rand Paul says. Yeah, go look at Rand Paul. This dude is pro-China when it comes to tariffs. Go look at his posts. The one thing all those groups of nations all have in common is none of their governments try to stop them from utilizing tariffs to make their respective countries or unions better and have the advantage. You know what government does? The U.S. government. Yeah, the U.S. government trying to sabotage the president, not because they hate Trump, folks. That's the obvious. They hate you. They do not want to see this country prosper. They do not want to see this country have success. And that's why all of a sudden they're principled.
Truth telling here. Some serious truth telling. And it can't be much clearer, and I think President Trump made the moves today to show you. I am for prosperity. I am for safety. The Democrats can't say that. He has taken the ability for them to say that they want prosperity, and he's definitely taken it away off the table with that they can say they want America to be safe. They want as many newcomers here as possible, and they don't care about your prosperity. It's funny. I've talked about prosperity for a year now, and even people on the right were kind of shying away from it. Barry, you keep talking about money because I knew this is where we were going to go. I knew that this was going to be the dividing line in the country. What can I take from you people so that I can give to these newcomers? Because you don't deserve to be a prosperous American, and you don't deserve to be a safe American. And now here we are, full circle, and I'm like, I knew it.
Massey wasn't principled when he was voting with McCarthy and Biden for that debt ceiling, so don't give me that bullshit. You have all these people virtual signaling wars to make themselves feel better, make themselves like they're doing something, when the reality is they're in this virtual signaling because they're actually cowards to stand up for the truth, for what's real. You have all these clowns, some of them my friends, some of them people I like, saying stupid shit like, then let the whole system collapse. Why? Because you read a book and it had a happy ending? Because you saw a movie, maybe you heard a song? Because if any of you actually use logic and look at what happens around the world when the entire system collapses, name me one institution where a good regime, a good government by the people actually took over again. It doesn't fucking happen ever. You know why? Because what you clowns forget, because you just want a virtual signal, because maybe you're just too scared of the truth. But what actually happens in the collapse, good guys don't rise like a phoenix out of the ashes. Evil does.
Mm-hmm. Pick up the feet, stepping on some toes here. It's very interesting. As I looked around today and then I saw this, and I saw a couple posts by some other guys I used to follow who got booted off of X or Twitter back in the day, I'm seeing the rise of people who knew this was happening. Not the Johnny-come-lately fraudster pollsters, not the guys who all of a sudden had found a way to get some Elon bucks. Oh, just had a power surge up in here. Not those guys. The people who were in the trenches, the people who got booted. Hundreds and thousands of us just got completely deleted off of X. And I'm seeing those people are the ones right now who are rising up and saying, y'all need to step aside. You fraudsters that are just trying to get clicks and likes, you weren't really in this fight. You really weren't discussing all of these things. And then today, Trump talks about aliens. Oh, you weren't here for that either, because that's another thing that they all deleted us for if you talked about it. And so I'm seeing all of the coalition come back, and I think they are going to be the people who lead us through this, not the ones you think, not the ones who have the big networks and have the big shows and everything else, the foot soldiers who were in it to win it from the beginning. And yeah, that.
You know why? Because evil operates with unrestricted warfare, where we're too afraid to go as good, moral, ethical patriots. We're going to play by the rules, because when you use the rules against someone using unrestricted warfare, outside of absolute God's intervention from the heavens, you lose every time. Let me tell you what really happens when the entire institution collapses and the chaos exists. Evil takes over, because good men will only do good things. Let me rewind this to paint this picture. Every grassroots organization you think you have has been infiltrated. We saw that with the militias in J6, right? Every parents group infiltrated. Every church group infiltrated. Every group you think is your organization was infiltrated years ago with new faces, new names, new flags, new slogans, new emblems, rebranded from the deep state, knowing that their contingency is actually let the entire thing collapse. That's their contingency, and they got you clowns begging for that shit to happen. Because the reality of it is, good guys will only do good things. It'll take months, it'll take years, sometimes it'll take decades before good men realize we can't win this way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm sorry I didn't introduce him. This is Alpha Warrior talking here right now. And he's exactly right. The only way this works is if good people actually begin standing up. And I've said that as well. I said, there's going to be a point. Don't know when it's going to be, when good people say, we've had enough. We're watching all these people march through the streets. We're watching them burn buildings. We've watched them do it for years. And I've said to myself, where's the good people? Where are the good protests? Protests shouldn't be on one side, but they always are. We don't see people taken to the street. We don't see people doing what they need to do to make sure their voices are heard. You're going to need to do it now. No doubt that you're going to need to do it.
And that ideology has to shift. What with Jack Nicholson, you need me on that wall, that mentality. By the time that mentality kicks in for where good men realize they got to get their hands dirty, they may even have to compromise their soul so other souls can actually live.
Now that one got me. See, good men may have to compromise their souls so other people can live. And I had to sit back when he said that and went, there's going to be some people, good people, who may have to do some bad things so other people can live. And I'm sure you'll be forgiven for that. My question is, are there enough good people prepared to do what needs to be done? That's where I think it gets scary and squirrely. It's like, dude, are these people ready? Are you ready? And I keep saying it. I've made the call to arms quite a few times because they're not going to sit back. Once they see what Trump's doing, once they understand that he has literally trumped them, how do you think they're going to react? I saw Somalis today out there complaining and wanting reparations. Somalis were on camera telling people that Americans had to pay them reparations because of the trauma they went through. And you know there's going to be some liberal judges who say, I and you have to pay Somalis because of their trauma of ICE. Oh, it's coming. The entire judiciary at this point, President Trump has shown you. He has pulled the veil completely open. There can be no doubt right now that the apple is rotten all the way to the top of the Supreme Court. You got Kavanaugh, you got Alito, and you have Clarence Thomas, and then you have three liberals who are never going to agree with Trump, and then the other three is just roll the dice. We have no idea what Roberts is going to do, no idea what Cody Barrett's going to do, and at this point, no idea what Gorsuch is going to do. And then he said something today that I hope you guys all remember what he said. When he said, the influence of China, you will find out. And if you've noticed, every time President Trump says that, oh, they're going to find out. They find out. We find out. That was a calm. Don't know who it was to, but it was a message to somebody to let them know, I know what you've been doing. I know you're dirty, and we're going to do something about it. So you're seeing a war happen behind the scenes, and you may not even realize it. This is where this is going to go.
That actually happens, and the virtual signalers are put to sleep because they've cost us everything. When that actually happens, in that window of time, innocence has been lost. The young, the elderly. Because you didn't have the brain to think out of primitive response. And right now you have a president that does. You have a president that is walking us down the tightrope of how this has to happen. What am I talking about? Arrests don't do shit, people.
I've been telling you that. I have been telling you that as well. He and I are going to be talking next week, and then you might want to bring some waiters in or something, because we're going to say this. We're going to talk to you. Arrests don't mean anything. It's a mantra that they've been trying to get you hypnotized with. Oh, we haven't seen any arrests yet. People kept saying that, and it became messaging, and people started thinking about it, and they repeat it. Oh, we haven't seen the arrest yet. Well, actually, you have. But not, they keep telling you there's none. Sort of like they're telling you, you know what? They've never said Trump's a racist. They've never said Trump is Hitler. Nope, never said it. There are so many people gaslighting people that people at this point don't know they're being gaslit. And so when you hear some of these people, and some of them are really bad, and they're talking about no one's been arrested yet. And some people tweet it all the time. They're messaging, counter-messaging, and propagandizing you. And like he said, they don't matter. Not where we're going. Like to get into DeLorean at this point. We're going to a whole different area. I'll tell you about that in 60 seconds. Let me tell you about Brightcore real quick. You see, early onset dementia and Alzheimer's are on the rise. Reports show a 373% increase in diagnoses among 30 to 44-year-old people and a 311% increase in 45 to 54-year-olds in the U.S. and, well, mostly the U.S. In recent years, when doctors treat brain diseases, they often focus on medicating the brain itself, addressing symptoms instead of the root cause, which is chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. These factors damage brain cells and lead to the buildup of toxic proteins in your body, which are the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. But much of the body, many brain issues trace back to the gut microbiome. There's a direct communication line between your gut and your brain. The gut-brain axis, where gut bacteria influences inflammation, your mood, memory, and cognitive function. That's why what you eat matters so much. They came out with a study that says kimchi, which contains over 900 probiotic strains and studies, shows its bioactive compounds actually help reduce inflammation, protect brain cells, and even improve memory and cognitive function by preventing amyloid beta plaque buildup. That's a lot to say. That's why Brightcore created Kimchi One. It delivers all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules. No taste, no smell, virtually no sodium, and it's made here in the USA, and it's non-GMO as well. And today, as being a part of the Fanfare family, you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below for 25% off your entire order. That link is in the description, or for an even better deal, you can call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call at 888-418-6738. So I hope you guys are enjoying listening to Alpha Warrior. We're going to have him on the show once we get back from Washington, D.C., probably Thursday or Friday of next week, which we'll be able to talk about a lot of things that you probably haven't heard from a lot of the panicans and black pillars out there. I don't even know why people still follow that crap. It does. I just don't get it.
They feed your ego. They make you feel vindicated because of your, all my suffering. We've all suffered. Get over your fucking self. Your family ain't the only name that's gone through the mud. Everybody's has. You ain't the only J6er. You ain't the only parent. You ain't the only spiritual leader. Everybody has paid a price. This isn't about us. This is about our country and the future. And some of you are so hung up on yourself that you can't see the logical path forward. Arrests do nothing but feed the ego. I was right. We told you. The deep state don't care about your arrests. The deep state don't care about your podcast. The deep state don't care about your memes. The deep state don't care about your Substacks. The only thing the deep state cares about is that you don't expose how the mechanism of the system actually operates.
Damn. That's it. Deep state don't care. They don't care about any of that stuff except light. When light gets exposed on these people and what they're doing and how they're doing it, that's what they worry about. That's what they care about. These people pretty much have insulated themselves from arrest, but they have not insulated themselves from light. They only exist and can do the things they do because they do it under cover of darkness. And so the more light you shine on these people and you share stories about them, and you're not going to get, kicked off of X. I don't know, I can't speak for Facebook because I'm still persona non grata. I can't even talk on Facebook because I used to talk too much. Luckily, I didn't get booted from Twitter. Robin got booted. She's on her second or third handle at this point. They don't want the light. They don't want to be exposed. And so today, you got a whole lot of light shown on these people. So much. It's like, oh yeah, now we see, Amy Coney Barrett, yeah, Roberts and Gorsuch, and all you Democrats and the people in the media, you don't want prosperity for Americans. Care to tell us why? Care to tell us why you want Americans to wallow in poverty and crime while you're worried about what happens to free Palestine? While you're worried what happens to Transformers who are shooting up the place? Who you want to make a Transformer Bill of Rights? I saw PayPal say that, and I was shocked. I'm like, you're actually spending the time to have a meeting to talk about the Transformer Bills of Rights when we've got veterans and all kinds of other people who need help. Why did they jump to the front of the line? Because they can't procreate. That's one way. It culls the population. Oh, we weren't supposed to talk about that either. They booted you off, boot you off pro platforms if you talk about the desire to cull the population. And you found the ultimate way, have boys chop their junk off and have girls decide they're going to be boys. Huh? But now that's even getting the light shined on it at this point, and they're having a problem with that. And that only happened because who? President Trump kept saying it. He goes, I don't think it's right to have boys playing in girl sports. They wouldn't even let us address it. Remember, there is a woman sitting, there is a person sitting on the Supreme Court who voted against the tariffs, who somehow knows what tariffs are, but had no idea what a woman is. The woman couldn't tell you what a woman is. She could tell you. She's playing the role. It's what she was there to do. When they tell you, oh no, men can get, have babies, they know that's not true. They just need to keep saying it. The more they say it, number one, it pisses you off. Number two, it hypnotizes these nuts who are running into clinics and lopping their junk off. Libs of TikTok today posted a video, and the video was from a Transformer woman who used to be Fred, who said that she was having contractions. Like, what, you eat some bad Mexican food? Or are you just stupid? No, I was really having them. I mean, I watched the video and I'm like, I can't even believe what I'm hearing. Never mind the deluge of everything's racist. That black people can't get IDs, to my surprise. Once you see it for what it is, we laugh at it, but it's serious. They have spent so much time working up their plan on how to completely mind numb an entire population, where people can get up and go, I think I'm having a baby. Dude, you're not having a baby. Oh, you're just being phobic. No, I understand biology, moron. Oh, it's just racist. But I'm black. I mean, none of it makes sense. And these aren't stupid people. We think they act stupid, but they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing.
That's what will piss them off. That's what will make them actually come after you. And that's why a lot of you don't go in that. You won't talk about it because you're fucking scared, but you'll virtual signal all day against President Trump. And what's Trump been doing the last 13 months? He's been exposing that mechanism. The frustration you have is making people search out why. If we vote this way, why does this happen? If these people get in power, why does this happen? If Trump's doing this, why are they responding that way? The tariffs is a prime example. He's showing all you people that think you're fucking smart how dumb you actually are. He's showing you how the mechanism works, because the only thing that destroys the deep state globalist international crime syndicate, the only thing that destroys that is us understanding how it works, so that when we reclaim power and sovereignty, We have the knowledge to make sure that shit never happens again. But some of you can't handle the growing pains. Some of you can't handle the labor pains. Listen to all these people crying about President Trump, no solutions. All these people crying about the FBI and crying about the DOJ. All their solutions is remove them, and then what?
You've seen them. You've heard them. Fire Pam Bondi. Well, okay, so then what? Well, after you get rid of Pam Bondi, get rid of Kash Patel. Oh, there was a great one going around about Kash Patel today. Oh, you're going to love this one. The fact that Kash Patel flew to Italy to watch the men's hockey team and the ladies won the gold. They're complaining because he took the company or the FBI jet. But they left out something because they had to leave it out. Otherwise, the dumb idiots who kept sharing it would feel stupid. And that one thing is that he's required to fly on the FBI jet. He doesn't have a choice. But yet, nobody, not a single person, none of them complained what Chris Wray did. None of them. And I'm not saying it from a whataboutism perspective. I'm like, that's just the rules. And when we use the rules, the guy has a personal life. He's not a robot. President Trump comes down here to Mar-a-Lago when he gets a chance. This weekend he's working, so y'all need to be afraid. Not you personally, but you know who needs to be afraid. He's already told Iran, tickety-tock, and he's not coming home. By the way, Palm Beach County renamed the airport. The Palm Beach International Airport is now the Donald J. Trump International Airport, which many presidents have had airports. JFK up in New York, Ronald Reagan in Washington. But down here, they're losing their minds. Oh my God, how could we name the airport after him? What the hell happened to you people? You're idiots. You're buffoons. And you're MK Ultra'd.
You think the guy that you like, you think the guy that you think is tough that goes in there is going to be able to overpower the deep state? You're a fucking clown. Even if you're my friend, you are a clown if you think that that is the solution.
Sorry about that. I bleeped out all of them. That one slipped in.
And replace them with another good person. Good people have shown they can't do it alone. It's we, the people, understanding how this mechanism works. And your president is trying to show you, and all you guys know how to do is self-sabotage because you want a virtue signal. That's where we're at. President Trump is walking us down a path you may not like, but is the only one that guarantees minimal casualties.
You know, when he said that, I immediately thought to myself, everybody who's complaining, what's your alternate path? If you don't like the tariffs, if you don't like this or that, what is your alternate thing? Even lately, General Flynn, I even said, I hear you talking. I can see it. What are you going to do? What's your plan? Somebody said I should have went after Anna Polina Luna this afternoon because she said something. I'm like, I'm not going after her. Stop tweeting. There's no reason for you to tweet or post. Do it. Take a hammer to the kneecaps of the people causing the problems. What are you trying to do? Get more likes and views? We don't care. Do something. But they're not. They're not, because if our congressional people and our Senate people had this kind of attitude like Alpha Warrior was talking about, and we had a kick-ass mentality, can you imagine if even 20 of the people there, just 20, if 20 of the people had the attitude that President Trump has, what would be happening? We see it with him. We see it with Steve Miller. You're going to see it with Scott Bassett. If 20 people in Congress or in the Senate had President Trump's attitude, where would we be today? Well, we'd be in a lot better situation. That's for damn sure. but they're not there. Which then makes you sit back and go, why not? See, that's one of the questions I'm going to ask when I go up to Washington. People might walk away from me. And one of the questions is, where are the 20 people who are willing to stand behind President Trump and if he goes down, continue into the fire? Who are those 20 people? Can you name me 20 people who you want to go into battle with? Not Rand Paul. Not Massey. Who? Bukowski? Collins? No way. Marsha Blackburn? Her hair's, it's too important. Josh Hawley? No. Tell me. You guys can put in the chat. If you had to go into a foxhole and take on these Democrats, who are the 20 guys or women you want next to you? That line's going to get really, really small. Really small. And that's what our problem is. We don't have warriors and warrior S's. They got them. The Democrats got them. They'll fight to the tooth and nail. They'll fight to the death. Where are our fighters? And I'm trying to think. Brandon Gill. I think Brandon Gill could be a fighter. I think, what's the guy's name? Brian Mast, the guy with the amputee. I think he could be a fighter. But you really have to sit back. And I'm asking you all right now, y'all thinking, okay, who would be the fighter? You can't say Rubio and Pete Hegseth if they're in the administration, so don't even try. I'm talking about senators and congressmen. I want you to go ahead through your mind right now and go, no. Who are they? That's where our problem is. That is what could potentially do us in. We have built a team, a squad of people who aren't ready for what's coming. What way's the wind blowing today? No. I want you to be America first. I want you to run with this. I want you to fight like hell and be right there with Trump. Who are they? I'm looking in here. Burchett? Maybe. Mike Lee? Yeah. People are like, I don't see him. That's where we are right now. And that's what we need to be calling out. I don't need to have Pam Bondi fired. I don't need to have Kash Patel fired. I don't even care that Dan Bongino's back to his show. You know what I found so funny about the Dan Bongino thing? Idiots were saying, oh, he's lost so much of his audience. His audience is like, it's flatlining. He's only got like 20, 30% of what he used to have. You understand he's still got the biggest numbers out there, right? He's still number one. Even if he lost some, you ain't catching up. He's still the top dog. And because he's top dog, he's still raking it in. So it looks stupid when I see people pointing fingers at Dan Bongino. Oh, I'm never watching him again. It's not an airport. Why do you tell people? Why are you telling us you're weak to the point where you will post, I am not ever going to watch him again? Number one, you don't have to tell us. Number two, you think he gives a shit? You think we do? Or is it just one big pity party that these people, get in this circle jerk? Push them aside.
There'd be casualties. Folks weren't in war. He's going to have to make decisions that's, should I do worse or the worser? There is no good decision. It's f***ing war. You guys all want to act tough, and you think you can take on the greatest evil that's ever walked this world, and there isn't going to be pain, hurt, and loss. Get over yourself. All you podcasters, influencers, if your audience isn't involved, that's our fault. We're in positions of distributing knowledge and showing leadership. And if our audiences aren't moving the needle, then we are failing and we need to reevaluate ourselves to find out why. And if you have trained yourself into just being a listener and a spectator, you're also part of the problem. There's no voices and listeners. It's we the people, and everybody's got to be involved. Wake up. Accountability doesn't start with the president. It starts with you.
Yeah,
myself included. I hope you guys hear the message. Semper Fi.
Yep. In fact, that last bitter, it's almost like he has watched what my line has been. You cannot be in the bleachers. We are not going to win this with everybody waiting for somebody else on the field to do something. You need to be on the field as well. And I don't think enough people understand. As you guys were doing your mental, accounting and going, who would I want to be in a foxhole with? And I would say, and I was looking to see what you guys would say, is I want to be there with guys like Alpha. I want to be there with people who are willing to say America matters something to me. And even if I'm not here, I'm doing it for my wife, my daughter, my granddaughter, my stepson, not stepson, son-in-law. And so understanding these people aren't going to do it for you. And so when they're calling for this person to be arrested, or they say stuff like, I'm not going to vote in November, what they're really telling you is they're not with you. Everything depends upon us maintaining power in the Senate and the House. Everything. And by people saying openly, I'm not going to vote, I hope that the Republicans lose. You understand what they're saying to you. Seriously, I hope you understand. The next time you read a post where somebody says, oh, it's over, we're going to lose, I don't even want to bother with voting, then they're probably turncoats. They're probably people who think they can coexist with these nuts. I could never say that. Could you? I'm not going to vote. Understanding that if we don't vote and they take power, we're done. There is no place for us to go. Let that sink in. It sounds, cool on Twitter, or I keep saying Twitter X. It sounds cool to say, I'm done with this party. I'm not going to vote. Nah, I can't deal with this. It's he's lost me. How? You understand, the fight that you voted for last November is still raging. And it's not going to end in a year. It's not going to end in 2 years. That other side still has breath. They haven't been extinguished. So, of course, they're going to continue to fight. Of course, they're going to try. I actually heard somebody say today, I don't care about the border. I'm like, man, them clicks must be good. Those clicks must be really good. You don't even care about the border. Nope, not at all. So what do you care about? Epstein. And I'm like, no, you don't. Because if you cared about, and I've said this before, if you care about what happened with those women and or children, your ass would be over someplace working with a support group, broadcasting live from the Women's Center in Boston. You don't see that though. You don't see them out in the field working with people who have to go rescue these women that are currently being trafficked. Robin volunteered for a while, and she went to one of those places because you don't know where they are because they hide them very well. Yeah, I drive by one every day, and she goes, "That's it right there." I'm like, "What?" That's where we bring the women. And she goes, you don't want to know the stories and how fast they have to do the interdiction and how they have to get in there, get the women out and get them going and do a handoff to another car and all kinds of things. Have you volunteered? As much as you want people accountable for Epstein, have you volunteered to go to a woman's safety group? See, if you do that, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time. Do 1 or 2 Saturdays, this month, and say, hey, I'd like to, come in and help. And you'll realize at that point, there's not much you can do until the phone rings. And number 2, when you see it, it's going to take your heart and put it in a ringer. when you go there and there's a 7-year-old girl and she's trembling because of what's happened to her. And you have to listen to her story because she needs the comfort. And if you're a guy, you have to back off because she probably doesn't want to be around any guys. But then your wife's going to come home and she's going to want to tell you what the little 7-year-old girl told her. And your wife's going to be trembling and you're going to have to sit there and listen to it yourself. And then you're going to realize these people on X should take a long walk off of a short pier. They're full of shit. See, they're no more the warriors than the people in Congress. They're not ready to do that. They're too fragile. So from above, they can sit here on their phone or their keyboard and say, yeah, we should arrest people. You know what's more important than arresting people? Rescuing people. So if you've thought to yourself anything like these people, you need to prove it first. You need to show everybody. You don't have to be broadcasted, but you have to show people in the chat, yeah, I volunteered last weekend and I'm still not better for it. We'll pray for you because then you're going to earn the medal. Not tweeting about, hey, we should arrest somebody from Epstein from 12, 14 years ago. Go down to your local, probably sheriff can help you. Hey, where can I volunteer to help rescue girls and women? So go over there. And they're going to, and here, just to let you know in advance, they're going to run a background check on you. Because the last thing you want to do is expose one of these women or children to someone who's got a bad record. And they may say, sorry, thanks for trying to help. We can't have you. But at least you tried. At least you got out there and said, you know what? I'm not in the bleachers. I'm in the game. And it'll change your life forever. Man, it's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. When Robin did, Robin was I don't know if I ever told you guys this. Robin was an EMT. And she used to come in and tell me the different stories that she would, like, I can't take this. And I thought that was bad. Tell me about people in motorcycle accidents and stuff. I didn't know it was that bad in terms of rescuing women. Give it a shot if you can. It's tough, but give it a shot. I'll be back in 90 seconds.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so real quick, let me tell you about another one of our sponsors tonight. Friday night, so we had a bunch of people that wanted to get involved here. Do you struggle with any tingling or numbness or painful sensations in your hands or feet? I saw that Mark Wahlberg was on The View. I'm going to show that to you tomorrow. And he was talking about this new role that he has and how he had to gain a whole bunch of weight for the role. And he started having numbness and stuff in his fingers and his hands and his feet. Very interesting. See, there's new research showing that a tiny seed may hold the key to lasting relief. Backed by 33 years of clinical studies, Doctors have found that this seed helps restore healthy nerve function, relieving pain, numbness, and tingling, while also supporting balanced blood sugar levels. For years, this natural breakthrough was buried by Big Pharma, of course, and hidden away to protect their profits. But now a maverick doctor has rediscovered its power, and he's making it available to the public. Imagine what it would feel like if you have tingling like that, to finally walk without pain, sleep without burning or tingling in your feet, and get back the comfort you thought you'd lost. To see exactly how this works, just scan the QR code on your screen or go to myprimal.life. HTTPS myprimal.life/Barry. myprimal.life/Barry. Don't wait. Find out how this tiny seed could help switch off nerve pain starting today. All right, so let's continue with today's show. I've got a bunch more video for you as well.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic. They're so happy. And they're dancing in the streets, but they won't be dancing for long, that I can assure you.
These tariffs aren't tough on China, they're tough on American families. And the court has repeatedly voted on the Senate has repeatedly voted on a bipartisan basis to reject this illegal trade war. Congress has the ultimate authority to undo the tariffs that Trump had imposed a year ago and the tariffs that Trump has imposed today. And we hope our Republican colleagues will join with us in rejecting these tariffs because they're such a burden on American families and the costs that they pay. That's it. Let's see. Yeah. Again, one final point to reiterate. Congress has the ultimate authority to impose these tariffs. I am urging, for the sake of American families, pleading with my Republican colleagues to buck Donald Trump and not allow him to impose these tariffs on the American people. Congress has the power to do it, and Congress should. Okay? Any questions?
There's something about litigation. So Trump said that these tariffs have to go into litigation. And are there any repercussions from that?
Well, look, no one knows exactly what Trump is doing in the future, but usually he doesn't care about the laws. And so it's a pretty safe bet that there will be court cases contesting these tariffs.
Do you think there'll be a refund?
Now that he's reimposing tariffs, no one knows what the heck he's doing. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing. He's flying by the seat of his pants. The court ruled in a very strong way against him. So he said he's imposing something else, but that something else, A, may not last and may be worse for the American people if it does. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone.
This dude. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't have any clue. And our press is meek and timid as AF. They had every opportunity to just say to him, well, you know, Section 232 and Section 301 and Section 122 have long-standing precedent. But here he just said they're going to run right back to court no matter what. Thousands of cases have been adjudicated. Not one, two, thousands of cases have been adjudicated saying he has every right to do this. But they're going to go ahead and go run to court again. And he's asking Republicans, as he said, to, quote, buck Trump. Notice what he didn't say there. What's your alternative plan to help make America prosperous? They don't have one.
The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 today that emergency power tariffs under IEEPA went too far. Many pundits and Democrats are celebrating this. That much is fact. But within hours, the presidency responded. Different statute, same leverage. Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, temporary global tariffs, up 15%, roughly 150 days. No immediate congressional approval required. That's not retreat, that's reroute.
Understand what he just said there. He just said that's not a retreat. And within hours, they rolled this out. There is no way, there's no way in God's green earth that they could have turned the corner and had something ready to go literally hours after the Supreme Court decision. So what does that tell you? That tells you there was indeed a plan B in place. Plan C, plan D. They're not even going to miss a beat. It's like today never happened. And, you know, people on television and idiots out there on X, there's not, like I said, by 1:30, everything they said between 10:30 and 1:30 went out the window. They didn't see it coming.
Meanwhile, Section 232 tariffs, national security. Section 301 investigations, unfair trade practices. Those authorities remain fully in play. Translation, the legal battlefield changed. The policy objective did not. Markets reacted fast. Uncertainty first, recalibration second. Trade partners are watching closely. Businesses are recalculating supply chains. This isn't a simple win or loss. It's institutional tension. Executive power versus judicial limits. Global trade leverage versus domestic legal guardrails. Politics versus economics versus constitutional boundaries. And here's the bigger takeaway. Tariffs weren't erased. They were repositioned.
And that's what I want you guys to really walk away from tonight. They weren't erased. They didn't stop. They just literally just had to come at it from a different perspective. And so because they were ready, nothing is going to change. Nothing. You got people screaming and everything about wanting refunds and how businesses are going to get their money back and, you know, for the tariffs that were paid. It ain't going to happen. It moved so quickly. It was seamless. It just went boom, done. We got it. We're back on track here. And the Democrats didn't expect that. They thought it was Friday, the Supreme Court does something, and, you know, nothing is going to be able to move right now. He knew right away, and it gave him more power. It gave the president even more opportunity to do what he wanted to do. It was almost like, I need to have this checked off. I need them to spend months going after all this stuff. And when they do, they're going to think they got us. And what the reality is, we got them.
Watch what happens next. Not emotionally, strategically. My friends, we are all anonymous, and the mission remains. Question everything.
Some people have asked me, Barry, why do you include that guy, whoever, woman? It's obviously a voice, somebody writes maybe AI, is because it is who we are. We are anonymous. Nobody knows who you are in this fight. Many of you are screen names. It's not your real names. We are all anonymous. Yeah, they know who I am because I'm putting my mug on a camera. But at this point, our strength is in numbers. We're all anonymous. There's more of us than they care to understand, which is why they're doing all this MK Ultra crazy BS. You have the power in numbers if you learn how to use it. And the ability to use it is to continue to call them out, to show people this is what's really going on, share Truth Social post, all that kind of stuff, because they can't defeat it. Not at all.
I would also like to take a moment to address today's Supreme Court ruling, and I would note that I did not change a single word in my speech via post the ruling.
That right there. He's doing a speech today because I was wondering where he was. He wasn't at the press conference. So he was doing a speech, And he's letting everybody know, I'm giving you the same speech today as if 10 a.m. never happened. With a smile. And that's why people chuckle. There's nothing for me to adjust. This was planned. We're comfortable. We saw the move happening. We saw the player go in motion and we're like, they're going to throw the ball to him. We've read the game films. We know what's going on. We've sat back and gamed this out. We knew exactly what was going to happen potentially. And then we told you guys in, different meetings, I hope we should win this ruling. What are you guys doing if you don't? Nothing. We're screwed. Wink, wink. Remember President Trump said that? Oh, if they rule against us, we're screwed. And people in the media actually believe that. Oh, Trump says they're screwed. And not even 3 hours late, actually not even 2 hours later, because he came out and told you what he was going to do.
President Trump will always put our national security and Americans first. And as I have said before, the president has multiple tools in his toolbox. Let's be clear about what today's ruling was and what it wasn't. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs. 6 justices simply ruled that IEEPA authorities cannot be used to raise even $1 of revenue.
All right, so a lot of people had texted me and said, what exactly happened today? And I'm like, I'll tell you tonight, and then he just told you. They never said you can't do tariffs. Nowhere in the document did it say you can't do tariffs. Yet, every headline, every cryon, everything the media said was, Supreme Court says that Trump's tariffs are unconstitutional. And it didn't say that at all. You see, they ran with that to try and influence people and tell them he can't do tariffs. And then what happens? Chuck Schumer comes out and repeats it. Hakeem Jeffries comes out and repeats it. Gavin Newsom comes out and repeats it. Hey, they said it's unconstitutional. They didn't say that. If that was true, how come they left some tariffs in place? How come 30 to 40% of the tariffs were not touched? If tariffs were unconstitutional, why weren't all of them wiped out? That's something you have to understand as you're talking to people. They didn't say tariffs were unconstitutional. They said you can't use this and raise money by it. Okay, well, we'll do this.
This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities to replace the IEEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 tariff authorities that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges.
Now, understand what he said before that. He said, I didn't change a word in my speech because of what happened with the Supreme Court. Okay. So if you didn't change a word of your speech before, because of what the Supreme Court said, but you knew you were going to pivot to 232, then ergo, we have to assume you knew what was coming. Did you catch that? Did you catch the way that went? How he said, I didn't change a single word. But then he says, we're going to pivot and use 232. Well, how the hell is that possible if you had it already written? You had 2 different speeches ready to go? Or did you already know that's what it was going to happen? Here, listen to that again, because, sometimes these things go fast, but listen to what he says. Let's go.
Supreme Court ruling, and I would note that I did not change a single word in my speech post the ruling. President Trump will always put our national security and Americans first. And as I have said before, the president has multiple tools in his toolbox. Let's be clear about what today's ruling was and what it wasn't. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs.
They knew. Don't ask me how they knew. Maybe he had two different speeches and they're like, give me speech A, give me speech B. But you just heard him say, I didn't have to rewrite a single word. Then how the hell did you know to pivot to 232? He had to have had either two speeches or they already knew it was going to be overturned. You guys caught that. I didn't make it up. That's him talking, his exact words. When he said it, I was sitting here taking notes and I went, oh, what'd you just say? You didn't change a single word, but somehow you were ready for it. Just remember that.
6 justices simply ruled that IEPA authorities cannot be used to raise even $1 of revenue. This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities to replace the IEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 tariff authorities that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges.
All right, so I showed you the pivot and you understood that. Now the second part is they already know that these other sections that they're going to use has been validated and have given President Trump, or any president per se, the ability to do whatever they want, as long as they're using Section 232 and 301 and 120. I think 120, 130. You can't stop him. And they knew that this was going to be the arrow in the quiver that they decided to pull out. And nobody else was talking about it. Notice that the entire time everybody was waiting for the thing to come out, not one of these financial pundits was saying, well, you know what? They might use Section 232. I'm not real. Even though they told people in advance. I played it this morning. Howard Letnick said it about, a month ago. Yeah, we might use Section 232. And nobody thought about it. They knew where they were going.
Treasury's estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority, combined with potentially enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs, will result in virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026. What we saw was just a very narrowing of the definition of a president's ability to use IEPA powers. So, for those of you who saw the president earlier or have been following this closely, and I always found when I was in the private sector in my investment business, it was very good to separate signal from noise. And a lot of the noise is what Trump tariffs defeated. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was defeated is the ability for IEPA to collect even $1 of revenue. President, and I was at the hearing, and the justices agreed, and even the plaintiff agreed, that under IEPA, the president can install a full embargo. He just can't collect $1 of revenue. So, as I said before, there are 232 and 301 tariffs that have withstood more than 4,000 lawsuits. Since the first Trump term, there is something called Section 122, which grants the president 5 months to install, to put a global tariff on. So president announced today he's going to put a global tariff of 10%, and then a number of 232 and Section 301 tariff investigations will be started. Those take a number of weeks and months to implement.
How many of you think that Section 232 and 301 investigations already started weeks ago? I'm starting to read these guys now. So you're saying that in order to do this and do that, we need to have investigations, and those investigations can last this long. So when did you start them? Yeah, we're going to see something happen here. And what's these investigations entail? We got some good stuff coming.
I can tell you that the total amount of revenue that Treasury will collect this year will be little changed, if changed at all.
So you've already collected.
So what are we talking about? Nothing is changing. Nothing. It's business as usual. They knew Somehow they knew. They had the backup plan. The backup plan is being executed as we speak. President Trump is working all weekend. They're going to be tweaking levers and doing what they need to do.
CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich is here. Vanessa, give us the reality check. Can President Trump impose these new tariffs?
Yes, he can, Jake.
We're done. You should have turned off the camera right there, Jake. Yes, he can. What? Yes, he can. Did you not hear? And so I included this piece because, one, she completely rebuked Jake and said, yes, he can. And number two, she goes through a very good explanation of the different sections.
CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich is here. Vanessa, give us the reality check. Can President Trump impose these new tariffs?
Yes, he can, Jake. And a new tariff you're hearing about today is that 10% global tariff under something called Section 122. This tariff measure does allow actually for a tariff to reach up to 15%, but the president setting that global tariff at 10%. The thing is, Jake, this tariff is only in effect for 150 days. It would take congressional approval to extend the length of time that this tariff is in place, something the president hinted he wants to keep in place for a lot longer than those 150 days.
Now, again, as I showed you from, his name is Ryan Peterson, how do you extend it? Well, you don't. You let it expire, and then a couple days later, you just put it right back in place. There's nothing constitutionally that says he can't continue doing it every 150 days. And she's pretty much acknowledging it at this point on CNN.
We also heard the president talk about increasing tariffs in other areas, something called Section 232. These are tariffs that can be put in place if the government believes there are national security concerns. These are investigations that usually take months to happen before the tariff goes into effect.
So usually takes months before it goes into effect. Scott Bessent just said couple weeks, i.e., they planned it. They're gonna. I bet you tomorrow's meeting is about some of these, investigations. Nobody knows who's been investigating what. But just watch when they announce the conclusion of the investigation. You can count from February 20th and say, all right, y'all only took a couple weeks to do this. You had it done, didn't you? Yeah, we already had it.
So there are actually tariffs in effect right now under Section 232. 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum, and also 25% tariffs in effect on cars and car parts. The president saying that he wants to expand investigations to look into other ways to apply these tariffs. Another investigation into Section 301. This is a measure by which tariffs can be put in place if the government or the administration believes that other countries are in violation of trade agreements. And there are currently tariffs in place under Section 301.
As you're listening to this, you must get a chuckle. You must get a chuckle and go, oh, he played these fools. They absolutely played these fools. They let him go ahead and think they got him. They also knew that the Supreme Court was going to take months, and in that period of months, they were going to be able to accumulate and grab and bring in, $18 gazillion. And so they brought in all that money. He already said, you ain't getting it back. And now we're just going to use this other stuff.
For some Chinese imports, actually tariffs that have been in place since President Trump's first term. Also,
wait. Did you hear what she just said? These 301 tariffs have been in place since Trump's first term. And I guess Biden never turned them off. So, ergo, he already knew he had Section 301 tariffs he could use. How did he know? He did it in his first term. The more you dig into this and the more you read into it and hear people talk, the more you realize, oh my goodness, these people are so screwed they don't even know. You've allowed him to play you in such a way, he now holds even more control than he did yesterday. How do I know? because he's already doing it. It never went away from his first presidency.
Some tariffs in place for aircraft and some goods coming in from the European Union. Jake, another tool in the president's toolbox to add more tariffs in place of these IEEPA tariffs is something called Section 338. This has actually never been used by a president before, but it does allow for the president to lob significant tariffs of up to 50% on countries if the government or the president believes they are discriminating against.
That's the hammer. That's the big one, 338. It's never been used by any president, but he's allowed to. That's what this entire segment was about. She was trying to tell Jake Tapper that here's all the different tools he can use. And one of those tools, he can go ahead and hit them with 50% if they feel that, you're discriminating against the United States. Notice it doesn't say, and what she said, you don't have to go to court. You don't need Congress. You don't need to do anything. You have complete control of Section 238 to do what you need to do. The Democrats played themselves. These things are pretty much judgment proof. You can't sue. There's been thousands of adjudications every single time the president has won. Good luck. Man, this is big.
The United States. Never been used, but a tool for the president to use if he chooses, Jake.
You may want to rewind it and look at those 4 or 5 different items that he now has complete reign with. That's why he was so confident at the press conference. I can do anything I want. Imagine somebody, a foe, an adversary, you're looking at this person and they're looking in a camera and they're like, I can do whatever I want. Notice nobody in the audience was like, what do you mean you can do anything you want? You know why? Because they didn't even know what the hell he was talking about. Hey, excuse me, did you hear him? He said he could do whatever he wants. What do you want me to ask him? I don't know. What the hell is he talking about? Now you know. Now you've had a couple hours to digest this. Watch what the media says now. Watch their next move. Oh, he's a tyrant. Oh, he's Hitler again. He's Mussolini. He's going to do whatever he wants. The court didn't stop him. They said, use a different exit. You can't, this one's closed. The road's closed. You can't go this way. Go that way. And that's exactly what happened.
There's nothing wrong with reciprocal tariffs. If a country adds a 10% VAT tax, and we don't call it VAT tax in the U.S., we'll just do a 10% tariff. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the stable tariff negotiation that's gone on forever. But you've got situations where punitive tariffs were used during this period the Supreme Court looked at and ruled on this morning and said, no, you can't do that. That's a tax, and Congress wasn't consulted. But no one ever...
I'm liking what I'm seeing on the screen. Jeff Zeleny, who's one of the reporters at CNN, says that Trump said today he doesn't care if the justices attend or not. That's a far cry from a year ago, talking about the State of the Union. He doesn't care. You've used, I see your usefulness is no longer, you're not needed. I can do whatever I want.
Thinks about the small business guy that's running a business. Where does he sit in this now? He has to somehow go get this back from Treasury, the $150 billion, and distribute it to the people that paid it, or he won't be compliant. And I think that's what I wish the Supreme Court had called me. I know this sounds ridiculous, and before they'd ruled on this, because I would have said to them, wait a second, this isn't going to help the people that employ half the people in America. This is not going to be easy. This is an additional cost on us. This is a major compliance cost.
You see, and he kind of made fun of it at the press conference today, because people like, well, are people going to get paid back? I don't know. I loved how he said it. That the Supreme Court didn't say anything about paying anybody back. Go back and read the decision. Read what they said. They didn't even question anything about people getting paid back if they paid into the tariffs. And his response was, well, I guess we'll go to court for 3 or 4 years. They walked into a giant bear trap again, and it snapped shut on them. And the good thing about this, the really good thing about this, is that the people who care, the people who are going to be voting, are going to be seeing more money in their pocket, and they're not going to get weighed down in this minutia. Most people on a day-to-day basis don't care what China has to pay in tariffs. They just want to know if I go to the store and I can buy stuff, or how much more is in my paycheck. I've got no tax on tips and I got no tax on overtime. Understand, they didn't even vote for that. You want some more information about how these people don't want to see Americans prosperous? They didn't vote for no tax on tips. They didn't vote for no tax on overtime. They didn't vote for no tax on Social Security. They're defending other countries who are trying to tax us, but they don't care about Americans. But we're supposed to believe we're not going to win.
Black eye there, by the way, John, because for the Supreme Court, I mean, why did it take the Supreme Court 6 months to make this decision? I mean, this is one of the most important economic decisions of modern times, and everybody's in a state of uncertainty about what's going to happen. I don't know, shame on the court for taking, if this was their decision, they should have come out with this months ago, because it has left everybody now confused about what direction the economy will go in. But Trump, look, the stock market has responded pretty positively to this, as I see some green on the screen. So it is not the end of the world. I think Trump sounded pretty confident that he is going to find a way, especially when it comes to countries like China. I mean, I wonder, we talked about this early, can he treat China as a special case, as a national security threat?
Now, understand also that President Trump and Xi Jinping are going to be meeting, I believe, in April, mid-April. So there's going to be that conversation. Would love to be a fly on the wall for that. I can't even imagine what that conversation is going to be like. And I believe he's also meeting with Putin. So there's a lot of big meetings coming up, and the Democrats have no control over anything.
In terms of the future, I would actually say, Dana, and I teach trade law and international business law for my sins at Berkeley when I don't get to teach the Constitution. When I teach those, I teach the students. Actually, President Trump could turn around tomorrow and start the process of reimposing tariffs.
All right. So he was talking on Fox, and I want you to look and pay attention to the time. It literally was 10 minutes after the ruling came out. At 10:16, Fox has got this guy on, and he's telling him he could literally tomorrow just go back to doing it again. The people who understood what was happening understood that this meant nothing. 10:16. Look at the time. 10:16. He was telling people on Fox, it doesn't matter. He could do it again tomorrow. Nobody wanted to listen.
He doesn't need new legislation from Congress. There are a bunch of federal statutes. They go by fancy terms like Super 301 and Section 232. There are a bunch of existing trade laws. In fact, President Trump can use IEEPA itself. Again, the thing the court is saying is that you have to do it in a certain way. You have to use the trade laws to be specific as to a country and what that country is doing. Is that country a national security threat? So, for example, under the IEEPA law itself, the United States has pursued not tariffs, complete embargoes, 100%.
Can you imagine if he just said embargo? Nope, you can't sell here. So when you look at this, and that's what Scott Besson said, when he said his talk, he's like, I'm going to tell you more about what this is than what it isn't. It's a roadmap. If you want to download Kavanaugh's opinion, it's an absolute roadmap. Do this, do this, do this, do this, and you'll be fine. And this guy knew it at 10:15, literally minutes after it came out. Yeah, he's fine. He's got a whole bunch of other stuff he can use. And I thought for hours afterwards, nobody was talking about those other options because they didn't want people to think that. It was in their best interest to talk to their idiot audiences and their idiot audiences on X to say that Trump was defeated. He got beat. Oh, they slapped him down. And everybody who actually knew the laws were like, this doesn't mean anything. And I wanted to make sure tonight, even though it was late, that I would show you that it doesn't mean anything. It literally is, there's a detour up ahead, use this exit, go around and get back on the highway. There wasn't anything that said, hey, stop, get out the car, give me the keys, we're impounding the car, and we're going to take you away. No, it literally was a detour. This road is closed. But if you go this way, you can get to where you're going. It wasn't even a speed bump. It wasn't a bump. It was just go down this road and come back around. And that's the message I want to leave you guys tonight, is that nothing has changed. In fact, the only thing that's changed, I guess, is he has more power.
Of trade with countries like Iran, Cuba, and North Korea. If President Trump wanted to cut China off entirely, as some people, I think, in his administration would love, he can use the IEEPA statute to do that.
Just let that sit in. It wasn't until today, with the way things were written, is he can literally say, and nobody can stop him, you know what? You're not selling your shit here anymore. Bye. Facing no sales versus paying 25%, what are you going to take if you're China? I'm going to take door number 2. I'll pay you some extra stuff, because this man, would he really do it? Would President Trump really ban Chinese goods? Why not? Why not? You guys complaining it's too costly? All right, we just won't let him sell anything. How you like that? And there's not a thing anybody can do, because it said it in the decision today.
It doesn't block the system of tariffs. It just adjusts the leverage. It was entirely about leverage. And for the people that are gloating, they were probably the same people who backed the student loan bailout. You know, they could STFU. The Supreme Court pooped on that, but that didn't stop Biden, did it? Or how about the vaccine mandates? Supreme Court crapped on that too, but they still did it to government employees. There's always a workaround, but shut up is what I'm saying. Here's what the media...
Shut up. And I always like to wait, let the information flow, teach me, give me the information so I can show other people as well. And as the information started flowing, I'm like, I can't wait till tomorrow. I can't wait till it sinks into people like Abby Phillips and Jake Tapper. And they realize nothing changed. Just imagine it. All these people who wrote all these headlines are now somewhere getting information filtered to them, and it's a huge Trump win. I started going back to some of the guys I used to follow before. And, there was one guy back in the day before he got kicked off was Joe Lang. And actually, let me show you this one from Clandestine, our boy there. And he says, so what is the result of Supreme Court ruling? Trump gets to keep NAT6 tariffs in place and in full effect, just under a different statute. And he slapped an extra 10% on all imports, bringing in even more money. They made him stronger. The show goes on. And that was at, what time did he post that? 2:30. People are starting to realize, oh, this didn't do anything. This was like hitting, Wonder Woman's bracelets. Did nothing. What did Joe say? Joe said this, his Supreme Court update. Tariffs. The narrative focuses all on tariffs and that Trump lost and can no longer tariff other countries without congressional authority. But look deeper, which you have tonight. Both Trump and Besson have suggested they have a plan in place if the Supreme Court struck down the tariffs. They were already prepared for their decision, as you have seen tonight. But this decision did not strike down all of Trump's tariffs. Most people are completely missing that. There are still tariffs implemented by Trump that weren't affected by this decision. Here's what I think most people are missing. This case is based upon Trump using a law that was enacted back in 1977. This is key. Which law? He keeps hearing people refer to it, IEEPA, International Emergency Economic Powers Act, known as IEEPA. This is what's interesting to me. Here's a summary of that law. Nowhere does it mention tariffs, and the Supreme Court majority mentioned that. Presidential authority under IEEPA can be triggered when the president identifies an unusual or extraordinary threat originating in whole or substantial part outside the United States, which endangers national security, foreign policy, or the economy. Once such threat is declared, the president may block transactions and freeze foreign assets within U.S. jurisdiction. They outline the roadmap. You can't charge them, but you can use all of this. Understand, hey, listen, you can't do that part, but you can freeze their assets. You can block them. You can embargo them. You can do all this other stuff. And they just put it in a document and let him have it. You know, he goes on to say here, and it goes through, impose economic sanctions on foreign governments or individuals. Congressional oversight is required under IEEPA. The president must notify Congress of the emergency declaration and report every 6 months. That's it. Oversight. Emergency must be renewed annually under the National Emergency Act. What I think most people are completely missing is that this law isn't focused on tariffs, it's focused on sanctions. As I was doing my research, I could not believe that people missed it completely. That they had no clue what this really meant. That they basically gave him the key to the castle. And if you go back and read what Kavanaugh wrote, you realize at this point they gave him a roadmap.
I'll tell you, again, it's about how much they lie about things. They lie about everything, including the Supreme Court, which they defined as MAGA. Remember, the Supreme Court was in Trump's pocket. And this was another scary narrative that was used in order for them to push things like term limits and packing the courts. But what it also did was it inflamed the public with this demonizing rhetoric that led to, unwell leftists, surprise, surprise, trying to kill a Supreme Court justice. It's interesting how all of this rhetoric leads in one place, people trying to kill Republicans. The thing about being a Republican, though, we don't need a utopia. We're used to work. So if we don't get it through this time, we do it something else. Our goals are secondary to our system. And
I love that. Our goals are secondary to our system. How we make the sausage isn't as important as making the sausage. We'll find a way to make the sausage. We have different tools in the kitchen. We will find whether we're going to press it, whether we're going to roll it, however we're going to make the sausage. We're going to make the sausage because we're smart enough to know if we don't have a spatula or a hammer to, make a patty, that we have a rolling pin to make round. We're going to find a way. The Democrats, all they can do is try to, take the stuff out of your kitchen. And I thought to myself, that is just a fantastic analogy because they don't do anything. It's all reactive. There is nothing proactive. There's nothing you're doing for America. You're just trying to impede America. You're throwing, stop sticks in the road and thinking that's policy. They got nothing.
We have a system. Trump has a very unique system, and it has a lot to do with leverage and working on behalf of the American people. Again, he's our a-hole. He's not the world's a-hole. He does it for us. And tariffs are not an emotional thing to us. It's just a tool. But it's because it's an emotional thing for Democrats, they have to take it as, oh, yeah, this is so great. It's like, you know what? This is just another day. We're going to get it, whether you like it or not.
Who's a real loser here? Iran, because POTUS is in a bad mood.
Iran. It's funny you mention that. Guess who would be subject to IEEPA even after the Supreme Court declared it? You see, this just keeps getting better and better and better. Okay. Trump declares right after that he will declassify UFO materials. 2, Trump's in negotiation with Iran to remove leadership, denuclearize, and normalize relations with Iran. The Supreme Court strikes down Trump's use of the IEEPA law to implement broad tariffs. how are these tariffs 3 stories connected in a coincidence? It's not about tariffs. It's about sanctions. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that he just happens to be looking to slap Iran around, and everybody's been waiting, wondering when he's going to do it. What's he going to do to Iran? And we didn't know what he was waiting for. Was he waiting for today? With the judgment coming out that tells him what he can do with IEEPA against Iran, which is basically anything? When I saw that and I heard that, and I went, wait. No, there's no, can they be that smart? Could they have had those pieces on the chessboard and knew when they come back and say something about IEEPA, we can actually use their opinion to do what we need to do to Iran? And then when he said it on the 5, I was like, oh my God, it all fits. And now you just heard it. And now you know what IEEPA does, and who knows what's going to happen with Iran in the next couple of days.
How are you going to get around this ruling as it's written?
Well, the ruling came down. It is what it is. We're very focused on using the alternative authorities that Congress has delegated to the president. The first one, which the president signaled today, comes under Section 122, which allows a 10% tariff to be imposed on a temporary basis. The president has that order. It's in the White House. I just looked at it and saw it, so I expect him to sign it shortly this evening. And then simultaneously, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative will initiate a number of investigations under Section 301 of unfair trading practices by a number of different countries to assess if we can impose tariffs on that basis, if we need to, if they don't resolve those issues.
All right, so they put into they've started the wheels running on the investigations. So the clock is ticking on that. By the way, this was a Brett Baer show tonight at about 6 or 6:30. So all of this started getting set into motion just this evening.
And of course, we have existing national security tariffs on autos, steel, aluminum, etc. So although the tools may change, the policy remains the same.
Yeah, so the sections you talk about are in statute. They're passed by Congress. They enabled the president to do this with a different mechanism to do it. But what happens to the tariffs that are in place that you've already negotiated? I know you talked about the 10% that the president's signing tonight that goes into effect in coming days. That's across the globe. But what about the ones that have already been handed down for different countries?
Right. So we have negotiated a number of substantive trade deals, the most recent yesterday being a trade deal with Indonesia, where they agreed to lower all of their tariffs, all of their non-tariff barriers, etc. In each of these agreements, the other countries agreed to lower their tariffs and non-tariff barriers and cooperate with us on a number of areas. And then the United States has the right under those agreements to impose a tariff at a certain level. In the case of Malaysia or Cambodia, it's 19%, for example. And those agreements hold. Those agreements will remain. We'll honor them. We expect our trading partners to honor them. For a year, I've been telling them that regardless of the direction of this litigation, we will impose tariffs at levels that they agree to.
The biggest question I think I heard today, and the president started to address it, but really hasn't come to a conclusion, is how do you unwind some of this if companies come after you saying you owe me money? The coalition of over 800 small businesses calls for tariff refunds. A legal victory is meaningless without actual relief for the businesses that paid these tariffs. The administration's only responsible course of action now is to establish a fast, efficient, automatic refund process that returns tariff money to businesses that paid it. I mean, it sounds to me that this is going to be awfully messy and in courts for a long time.
That's the key. You guys can go ahead and sue and try to collect this money, but in the interim, we're going to do what we got to do.
Well, the courts have made this decision, and the courts are going to have to help figure out the process by which that might happen. As the president mentioned today, it's a matter for the courts. There'll be some litigation. There is some precedent in the past in other wide-ranging tariff cases where the Court of International Trade, which is a district-level court in the United States, had a hand in being very specific about the how and the when of those kinds of things. So we'll have to see how the courts want to deal with it.
The
President's traveling to China next month, March 31st to April 2nd. Does this ruling somehow take a tool away from him in that leverage against China?
Thanks for asking that, Brett. This is an interesting question. On the one hand, the IEEPA tariffs and that tool have a lot of flexibility and different time restraints. That being said, we have existing tariffs on China under Section 301. We have an open Section 301 investigation on China. So the president retains a lot of leverage and a lot of ability to raise tariffs on China if necessary. And by the way, these are tariffs that have already gone through the courts and have largely been upheld.
All right, so that was some important information. They're already using 301, and they've already gone through courts, and it's been upheld. So that China's not getting off the hook. And somebody earlier said something about they didn't like sanctions because they're not the same as tariffs. No, I'm talking about Iran and what he can do with Iran instead of even dropping a big bomb.
So we feel very confident in their reliability.
Yeah, to that point, you mentioned IEEPA, that's the emergency effort. Do you regret using IEEPA if you had these other statutes already on the books and kind of ready to go?
No, not at all. And by the way, all of these options were presented to the president early on before he even started his second term. The reality is the president wanted to move quickly.
What? We had already presented these options to him before he started his second term. So they had been working on this before the inauguration. They knew which way to go, and President Trump said, go this way first, and then if that doesn't work, then we'll go this way. And so they had game planned this out before he even took office. And I'm surprised Brett didn't jump all over that. Wait a second. You guys were planning this back in like December? Yeah. You guys just heard that. We were planning this before he took office.
He wanted to move flexibly, and most importantly, he was trying to respond to an emergency of our huge trade deficit we were left with under Biden. And so that's why he was using that. So it was an appropriate tool, was a necessary tool. Obviously, we disagree, along with three esteemed justices of the Supreme Court, on the result today. So we don't regret it. It helped us obtain tons of deals covering half of the world's population, opening up market access we haven't enjoyed for 30 years, and we have these agreements, and so we'll just use a different tool. Again, the tool...
I'm sorry, I just hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. They knew what was going to happen, they did it anyway, and they had all the fail-safes in place before he took office. So we've been watching a movie since January 20th. We've been watching a freaking movie, and they knew what was going to happen possibly. And if that happens, then we can open this trap door and we can drop them into the shark pool with the laser beams. They had it all put together. Nobody saw it coming. And it was a way for him to quickly, as he said, right the economy and bring in a lot of money. So what they did is they leveraged it. Like, hey, listen, there might be at some point where they tell us we can't do that. Okay, but in the interim, we can really give the economy a jolt. And then we'll surf that wave all the way into the break. And when that wave breaks, we'll go back to the other stuff. That's what he just said.
May change, but the policy stays the same, and IEEPA was part of that.
I know your job is numbers and trade and dealing with these countries, but on the politics of this, do you think that this hurts in the midterms somehow? Because the president has lost this legal battle in the Supreme Court, and now you have to kind of hustle to get everything back in place.
I don't think it will. Remember, the president ran on this his first term, and he won on this issue, who ran on it again. He was very clear during his campaign. He wanted to have a baseline global tariff of 10%, which we'll reestablish today, and he wanted to have higher tariffs on other countries who are bigger problems, and we'll conduct investigations to get to the bottom of that, too. The reality is we're going with continuity here. We're going to recreate the system we have, contingent on the findings of our various investigations, and so we don't expect to see disruption. We expect expect to see continuity. We expect the countries to keep their agreements. So I think it's just going to be a continuous progress on the president's trade policy, which has been very successful.
Oh man, that dude is too. Have you noticed that Kevin, whatever, forget Kevin's name, Hassett, Kevin Hassett, Scott Bessent, and this is Jameson. They all just seem so calm. Like none of this is unexpected. We knew exactly how this was going to turn out, and these investigations we're already doing. And they told Trump, "We got these other options for you when the time is necessary." This is, I mean, I know people, sometimes say about 4D chess, but this is like 9D chess. They knew they were operating against an idiotic opponent. The Democrats have nothing. They got lawfare. They can sue, but they don't understand business and economics. And they probably don't understand the tariffs. And so now what we're seeing is they are articulating and executing according to a plan that they had in place before he was even inaugurated. Wow. Wow. That's all I could say about that. Want to show you something else that popped up tonight. Breaking. This is pretty crazy.
Breaking tonight, a Fox News exclusive. We have new information that appears to directly contradict the Biden administration's insistence it had nothing to do with the Justice Department investigations into then former President Trump's alleged retention of classified material and the subsequent raid on his Mar-a-Lago home. Correspondent David Spunt has details tonight. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening to you. These emails obtained by Fox News paint a different picture of the relationship between the Biden White House and the Biden Justice Department. These two offices made it clear at the time, at least publicly, they were not connected and stayed away from any political interference. However, new emails obtained by Fox News from May 2022, 3 months before Mar-a-Lago was raided by the FBI, illustrates coordination between the White House counsel's office and the DOJ regarding an interview of Walt Nauta. Now remember, Walt Nauta is a current White House aide to President Trump who was then former President Trump aide in Florida. Nauta was later charged alongside Trump by special counsel Jack Smith. The May 10th, 2022 email reads in part, coordination with DOJ and White House counsel are in work to start the process to confirm and interview current administration employee Walt Nauta. This event is dependent upon the timeline of President Biden's brief decision and coordination between White House counsel and DOJ, and in turn, Evan Corcoran's position on the override of privilege assertion and whether or not he seeks an injunction to prevent access. That was written by an FBI agent, and Evan Corcoran, of course, one of Trump's lawyers at the time. This coming August, Brett, will mark 4 years since FBI agents raided Mar-a-Lago. A few days after that, then Attorney General Merrick Garland said this.
I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly.
And we're getting new reaction to these emails. Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan in the House says in part, it's always worse than we thought. These newly released documents confirm that the Biden DOJ's raid on Mar-a-Lago was politically motivated. We're all
That just dropped tonight. That there's so much going on.
Also hearing from Attorney General Pam Bondi. AG Bondi says the more we learn about the DOJ weaponization under the prior administration, the worse the story gets. And Brett, she says this right here. It's a key part. She says we will continue disclosing key evidence to our congressional partners to deliver the truth and bring those who committed crimes to justice.
I love when a great plan comes together. It's simply amazing. And it's funny how they just dropped that in a 2-minute segment at 6:30 tonight. Hey, let me just tell you that, Biden and Merrick Garland were in cahoots with raiding Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, we all knew that. We all knew that. We all talked about that. We all got the scars from, people telling us, oh, you're conspiracy theorists. Funny how all those conspiracy theories are coming true and coming to a head. It's very interesting. Man, it's crazy. Let's see here. They're dancing. Where'd that go? It says they're dancing barefoot on glass right now. It's coming at them from too many angles. And that's one of the problems. It's just coming at them. They did this because they thought that they would not lose another election. How wrong were they? You're absolutely right. Um, and I keep reminding people this. Thank you, Truth. That there's grand juries right now in South Florida. One in Fort Pierce, one in Fort Lauderdale, and who knows? I heard John Brennan might be on the brink. They may be getting ready to, do him in. Trump is taking all these idiots down like Trump can do. MAGA, absolutely. Well, now you now what's it say? Now you need a clip 18. Love it when the plan comes together. Yeah, exactly. Man, thank you guys for tuning in. Looks like the internet finally, fingers crossed and prayers that it's working. It didn't have much of a hiccup all night, so everything went well. Let me do super chats here real quick if there's anything in here. Tomorrow I'll be going live. Not sure what time yet. Probably about, I'd say four-ish, five-ish or so. Now that there's no football going on, we'll do that. And we'll look at a show tomorrow after late afternoon before we take off to go to Washington, D.C. on Sunday. All right, let me just look at this. Let me put that in the right spot. All right, let's see what we got here. Tilly, hello to all my fanfare family and big hugs. Hope you're all doing great. And hello to the ones I do not know yet. Thank you, Tilly. Starfleet, thank you very, very much. I saw on my local news today a woman was complaining about the tariffs. She buys products for her business overseas. She doesn't want to compromise on quality of products. I say she needs to switch suppliers to made in USA companies. Exactly. Mrs. D, early voting now in Texas. Go vote Paxton for Senate. Indeed. BF Thompson, thank you, Barry. Always raising our spirits. I just find it that I have to, I try to bring you this information so you guys can see like some of the stuff I'm seeing in my crazy mind. Tilly, we got the best president in the whole wide world. Thank you, God. Absolutely. Mr. Fisher or Miss Fisher, Dems are delusional. Nothing will stop Trump. Mm-mm. Um, CRR says, just like Biden, McConnell is staying in elder abuse. The guy is potato mush. I don't know if you've seen him, but it's really, really bad. Beth Rodriguez, thank you. Tilly again. I'm going to watch the rest of my Bury on my TV. Take care, everyone. God bless you all. Thank you, Tilly. Cheryl Courtright, I may be wrong. Was this the plan all along? Were Gorsuch and Coney Barrett part of the plan? Trump is always 10 steps ahead. Just a thought. I don't know. He's hitting them pretty hard tonight. I'm not sure. Cheryl, again, y'all need to follow Alpha Warrior for the truth. Yeah, he's a good guy. Good guy for sure. And I'm telling you, if you follow him, some of his stuff may bring you into some weeds you don't want to be in. So be ready. Diamond, the quadrilogy movie is GNA Revolutionize America. And Trump found the Dems ice skating uphill. Hail Dawn. That's a good one. TBG, Trump is the best president ever. He loves the USA and is always putting us first. If you can't see that, you're flipping stupid. I can agree with that. Susan, thanks for our oh, you got your Bible. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for asking for one. And tomorrow I think I'll have some time in the day to be the site's done. I just have to put up some pages and we can begin Bibles again. Buddy Sanders, Schumer equals term limits. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. James Hammond, will today force the Insurrection Act? No, not yet. Not yet. Maybe once they freak out when they see what he does. Susan, amen, Alpha. I trust Jesus and Trump, period. Very nice. Al Phelps, thank you. Miss Bugish, Anna, if you can't understand that we are in a complete war by now, perhaps you may already be on the losing side. It's good versus evil, plain and simple. Agreed. Very much agreed. Gird your loins and keep your lamps lit. Pray up and read up in his holy word. Luke 12, 35, 37, Joshua 24, 15, Ephesians 6, 10, 18, and Isaiah 5, 20. Well, I got some homework now. Yeah, I got some homework. Let me go ahead and I'm going to have to like copy this stuff so I can go ahead and check all those out. Chiosop, admin has everything planned so they can think on the fly. They played out all scenarios, not typical lazy bureaucrats. No one can keep up. Judy Branch, always a very good show. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank the mods. Donnie Lewis. They were playing checkers and President Trump is playing chess. Checkmate. Big time. Baddest Cat. It must suck to have TDS with all these wins we keep having. TDS is making their therapy providers rich. Like I said, I can't wait to see how they twist things tomorrow to their ignorant people. Miss Bugish, Anna, they keep taking the bait. I'm going to have fun with you, Mr. President Donald Trump. All the corrupt people are being involved. I love today. He just said, you can't stop me now. That must put chills down their spine. Mariah, we too are in it to win it. Barry is 100% correct. Listen to our president and Bissent and others very closely. And the thing is, if you listen to them and watch them, you get a calm sense of confidence. You don't see people worried, freaking out, losing their temper. Linnell, my mom was a victim of horrendous CSA. If you guys don't know what CSA, that's childhood. Well, that's basically, trafficking. My cousin works and set up Russ to volunteer to help victims. Been doing it for 15 years. Wow. My mom has helped so many kids and healed herself. It's tough work. Tough work. Where'd that go? Egg be free. IEA fast-tracked tariffs and showed how effective they can be. Shock and awe. Yeah, it was. Tania, thank you, Barry, for all your knowledge. I know I have argument, and I now have argument ammo for my leftist friends, as I know they will hopefully gloat about the SCOTUS ruling. Show them Kavanaugh's dissent. Starfleet 5D chess, indeed. Neo, how you doing, brother? I mean, Neo, you're always like one of the ones at the last one. So I always know, like, when I get to Neo, I'm pretty much done. Amazing, all this winning. Trump had a plan since prior term. Yes, thank you, President Trump, keeping promises. Love it. Thank you, Barry and team. Thank you. And Farron Benoit, did SCOTUS greenlight freezing Chinese assets? With the IEEPA, they most assuredly did. So, interesting to see how things transpire. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in on a Friday night. It's 10:12. I don't know if Robin's already gone to bed. She didn't drop off Midas. I'm gonna go get something to eat and probably watch an old episode of Person of Interest. By the way, if you haven't seen that show, it's so timely in terms of what's going on right now. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow.
Fan.